Okay, so you watched my Retroid Pocket 2 Beginner's Guide. You got everything up and running mostly to your liking, but now you want it to look pretty. To do that, you're going to need something called a front end or a launcher, which basically combines your library of games, conveniently organizing them all in one place, then launches the associated emulator for you with the click of a button. Unfortunately, setting up these front ends and launchers take quite a bit more work than a click of a button, but once you do get them working, you have a very satisfying collection to look at and choose from. There are a number of launchers that the RP2 can use, but I'll be covering Pegasus in this video. The main reason I chose to learn Pegasus over Dig, another popular launcher, is because Dig can't launch the two versions of RetroArch that the Retroid Pocket 2 uses. Dig can only launch the more recent version. Pegasus is a little more confusing and time-consuming to set up, but that's what I'm here for, so without further ado, let's install Pegasus. Firstly, we're going to install the Pegasus APK from the description. In order to do that, make sure in Settings Security you have already allowed installation from unknown sources. Then, download the APK, put it somewhere on your device, navigate to it with File Manager, and install it. Once it's installed, open it up and allow it to access your media files. Then press Start and quit Pegasus. Next, we have to prepare our metadata files. These are basically the text files that Pegasus reads to get information about your games. What you're going to need to do is go to the Pegasus metadata generator I have linked in the description. From there, you'll need to select the way you want Pegasus to launch the game. For example, if when you select an NES game you want it to launch the game from the FCEUMM core in RetroArch, then select that on the left side of the screen. Then you can download it in the top right. You'll need one metadata file for every system. You can speed up this process by selecting all the systems you need and then downloading them as a zip file. As a quick note, the PPSSPP generator is broken for some reason, so look in the description for the proper metadata file for it. Once you've downloaded these files, place them in the appropriate folder with your ROMs, like so. Now we need Pegasus to find these files. Open Pegasus on your RP2, press Start to bring up the menu and go to Settings. From here, scroll down to Set Game Directories. Use Y to add new directories and navigate to your metadata files. You'll have to do this for every metadata file. Alternatively, just select one metadata file and then connect your RP2 to your PC. Navigate to your newly added Pegasus Frontend folder and find the game DIRS text. You can edit this file instead of hunting your metadata files down manually. However you prefer to do this, you'll need to have all your metadata files recognized. Once you have all those files recognized, go back to the main screen of Pegasus and ensure that your directories work and the games launch as they should. Things might be a little messy with multiple copies of the same ROM and such, but we'll clean that up and troubleshoot later. Just make sure that in general everything works and is there. No matter what app or emulator you're using, make sure you exit out of the app properly, not by pressing the home button or something, otherwise Pegasus may not launch your games correctly. Once you quit out properly, it should boot you right back to Pegasus. Now that Pegasus is set up, you want it to look pretty. First, go to the link I have in the description and look for a theme you'd like. I personally like RP2 Pegasus Grid, which is an edited version of the default grid theme, but optimized for the RP2. When you're looking for a theme, I'd advise looking for something optimized for the RP2, or that will at least look good on the smaller screen. Do note that any theme that uses a video preview will drain the battery pretty fast if you let it go, but man, does it look good. Once you've downloaded the theme you like, extract the folder, rename it properly if you desire, and put it in Pegasus Frontend Themes. You'll have to make the themes folder yourself. Now we've got some scraping to do. Look at an example of the theme you have and see what files you need. Do you need box art, logo, screenshot, video, all of the above? Keep that in mind. Hopefully you have a backup of all your ROMs on your PC in the same way that you have them on your device. If not, copy them over now. This will streamline the process. Now we need to make a Screen Scraper account. Head to Screen Scraper's website and make an account. You may need to verify your email and such, so make sure you get that all done. Next, download the Scraper program. You can also find this link in the description. The download buttons are near the bottom of the page. Once you've got that downloaded, run scraperui.exe. Log in and validate your account. This can sometimes take a little bit, but once you're in, you'll see the startup wizard. Quick note, sometimes the servers get overloaded and the system goes down, so if things aren't working as they should be, just give it a few hours or days if necessary. Okay, so the startup wizard. For front-end selection, select generic emulation and hit next. Next, navigate to your ROMs folder. You should see all or at least most of your systems pop up. Hit next. Just hit next for default media, as we'll manually change that later. You'll be at the main screen now. Before we mess with any settings, double check that all your systems are showing up on the left side of the screen. If your folders aren't named what Scraper expects them to be named, it might not catch the folder. For example, it hasn't caught my PlayStation folder. Let's manually add a system. Hit the little plus to the left of the wizard. Find your system and click on it. Now make sure that system is highlighted and navigate to the appropriate folder. Okay, once you're sure you've got all your systems in there, scroll to the top of the left pane and make sure all systems is selected. If you want to edit any of the settings system by system, simply highlight that system in the left pane. These settings should not have changed, but I'm going to go through them all to make sure you're all squared away. Under the Games and Front Ends tab, make sure that your front end is set to generic. You can ignore the Screen Scraper account tab and head to Game List. It doesn't really matter what you set this to, but for a later step, just leave it looking like this, and make sure your Game List full path looks like this. Under Metadata, I've kept everything default, but you should be able to figure out what these optional settings do. Okay, Media. This is an important tab. This determines which files Screen Scraper is going to grab, so you need to remember what your theme needs. Select the default items from the fetched media list and hit the minus button. Let's start fresh. Press the plus button to select a new media item to scrape. I'll walk you through the 4 basic files I scraped for my RP2 grid theme, and you should be able to figure out any additional files you may need. First, I need a video, so I'll click here on media type until I find video. Easy. Next, I'll hit the plus button to add another media type to fetch. The rest are going to be images, so I'll select media type image. You need a screenshot, a wheel, and a box art cover. So here I've got my screenshot. I'll hit plus again and change media type to image, click on the new image and hit the arrow over to the right to scroll to box 2D, then one more plus, change to image, select said image, and hit the arrows until I've got wheel. If you'd like, you can resize the images, but usually the themes take care of that for you. I'm also going to select Cleanup Output folder before generating new medias for all 4 media items. That way if I add a game later and need to run another scrape, it'll clean up or skip files I already have. Finally, let's check the Miscellaneous tab. You don't actually need to change anything here, but feel free to poke around in here. Just don't change anything if you don't know what you're doing. Okay, we're all set to scrape. Press the play button in the bottom right corner and let it do its thing. Depending on how many ROMs you have and how much media you need, this could take a couple minutes or a couple hours. Be patient and let it go to work. If you're getting errors, remember the servers may be having issues and try again later. Anyway, I'll catch up with you once you have all your media. Okay, now that you've scraped all your media, you should find a new media folder in with all your ROMs. Copy all of these folders over to your RP2 exactly as they are on your PC. In addition to the media folder, you should also have a newly added text file, either a metadata.txt or the name of the system.dat. This has all the descriptions and information for your games as well as the file paths. What you need to do is open this file, then copy the entire file and paste it in the left pane on the Pegasus Metadata Converter site. You can find the link in the description. From the dropdown on the left, select the Logix XML, Scraper Generic, Platform Name.dat, and you'll see that this will convert the file to make it usable with Pegasus metadata files. Copy your new translated file on the right and append it to the original associated metadata.pegasus.txt files that we made when we were setting up. Once you've pasted it in, delete the first few lines we pasted that identifies the collection, descriptions, and extensions, or you'll have some trouble. Repeat for all your systems. With that done, it's now time to clean up your files and talk about what exactly this metadata file is doing and how to make sure everything is working as intended. First, for whatever reason, almost all your backslashes are forward slashes, and they shouldn't be. So let's fix that. In the default Notepad app, go to Edit, Replace, and replace all your forward slashes with backslashes. Stupid, I know. Let's talk about what these things do in regards to Pegasus. Collection is the name of the collection, and short name is what a lot of the themes will shorten the collection name displayed to. If you wanted to make, say, a collection of your favorite games, you could make a custom collection by changing some of these names. Extensions are which files Pegasus will look for to add. You can exclude Pegasus from auto-adding files by excluding them from this list. For example, PlayStation games generally have bins and queues, so I remove the bin files and just let Pegasus find the queues. This helps remove duplicate games en masse. I'm not going to pretend I understand these lines, but they do kind of make sense if you stare at them long enough. I hate spreading false information though, so if you really want more detail on them, check Pegasus's documentation, which I have included in the description. Okay, game is the name of the game. This is the title that Pegasus is going to sort the title with by default. If you're thinking ahead, you already know that sorting by a game title is going to give you trouble when you're trying to sort games alphabetically and you run into a Roman numeral, or a series that mix and matches numbers in Roman numerals. I'm looking at you, Road Rash. Luckily, there's an easy way to fix this, and it's by adding the optional line underneath called Sort Title. This will force Pegasus to sort the game in this way. If you want to sort games so they exclude the in the beginning of the title, such as putting the Legend of Zelda games in the L's, you'll also have to make use of Sort Title like so. Next we have File. This is where Pegasus finds the game. If you have games with multiple discs, you'll need to change File to Files and format it like this. That way you don't have the same game showing up multiple times for each disc. You may also have to go through and manually remove entries that were auto-created for the additional discs when you ran Scraper. Anytime you need multiple files to fall under a title, this is how you do it. When you try to launch that game from Pegasus, it'll ask you which file you'd like to load. The rest is all information: developer, publishers, description, release, and players. Some of this data may not actually be accurate, most notably players, so you can manually fix it or just let it go. It's up to you if you want to undertake that. Okay, once you have all your metadata files cleaned up and in your folders, let's boot up Pegasus. Go to settings and change to your desired theme and see the fruits of your labor. Now, chances are Scraper did its best, but you probably have some logos or box art from the wrong regions, or if your files are named in a way Scraper had a hard time recognizing, they might not be there at all. You'll have to go in and fix all of these manually. You can find them on the site we made our Screen Scraper account on. Just click Games, the system you're looking for, then hunt for your game. A couple quick notes about how the media folders work. In Media, you'll see additional folders for your file types. Your file must perfectly match the title of your ROM. The only thing that should change is the file extension. If your files are in folders, then you'll need to have the folder name the same as your folder, then have the file named exactly as the ROM, like so. Once you've cleaned up your artwork, you may find that you have double files or BIOS files included in your game lists, and it doesn't look nice. Clean up your metadata.pegasus.txt files until things look the way you want them to. This can take a while of tinkering to make sure what you want to see is there. Another tip I can give you is the ignore file command. For example, the Neo Geo BIOS files goes right in with the ROMs, but I don't want to be able to select it from the Neo Geo games list. Underneath extensions in my Neo Geo metadata.pegasus.txt file, I can make it ignore my Neo Geo BIOS like so. Use this for any specific files that show up that you don't want to, such as patches or something of the like. It's a lot of work, yes, but man, is it beautiful when it's done. And you can swap themes basically whenever you want, since everything's already set up. Adding new ROMs can be tedious as you'll have to rescrape and edit the metadata, but if you have everything set up beforehand, you'll have a nice neat package to look at. If you want, you can also set your default launcher to Pegasus in Settings Home if you'd like that your device always launches to Pegasus by default. I personally like to be able to screw around with my device, and not everything looks pretty on Pegasus, like launching Android apps, so I leave it be, but that's up to you. At any rate, I hope this video helps you set up Pegasus so you have an attractive looking device to show off to your friends and family. Feel free to check out my other Retroid Pocket 2 content while I have you here. I'd like to take a moment to thank my one and only Patreon supporter, Harvest Time. Thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me, and keeps me motivated to keep putting out quality content. If you're interested in becoming a patron, you can find the link in the description of this video. There you can listen to me sing your praises, and even score some exclusive Cyberphile merchandise. Hey, thanks for watching! Don't forget to subscribe for more Cyberphile content, and if you liked this video, show me with that little thumbs up button. If you liked this video, you might like one of my other videos. You can click right on the boxes to jump to them. Cyberphile, offline.